Real Madrid won tonight, but the atmosphere at the stadium told a very different story. And when a victory feels this uncomfortable, it's worth asking why. Welcome back to Positively Madridista, where it's all about respect, gratitude, and love for the badge. Okay, so before we even talk about football, we need to talk about the environment today. The whistle started way before kickoff. From the bus arriving, to the warm-ups, to the players coming out, to the player names being announced, people were waving their white handkerchiefs, and even chants of Florentino de Misión were heard around the stadium. This show, even before kickoff, that this was a stadium on edge. And yes, expectations on Real Madrid are high, and they should be. Levante are 19 out of 20 in La Liga, and they're just fighting for relegation. And Madrid still needed to show much more hunger. Okay, let's talk about the first half a little bit. The first half was worrying at best. Madrid tried pressing early, tracked back in the early moments. Fede Valverde, who was getting booed, made a few runs tracking back to stop a couple counterattacks from Levante, which showed his effort. But with the ball, it was a little bit of a different story. There was no penetration, no rhythm, and most importantly, no ideas through the midfield whatsoever. Whistles were heard every time Vini Jr. touched the ball, Federico Valverde touched the ball, anytime Jude Bellingham touched the ball, Dean Housen. The pressure on these players was enormous today. And in some of them, you could feel the nerves. Dean Housen seemed like he was really struggling to keep it together and to really focus on the game when he was battling the anxiety of the stadium, just whistling every time he made a mistake. This seemed to just compound his errors. And this was pretty much the tone of the first half. A lot of discontent from the fans and a lot of lack of ideas by Real Madrid. And at halftime, as soon as the whistle blew, whistles, handkerchiefs, and fuera, fuera chants throughout the stadium. Now, let's talk a little bit about the second half. Changes were made and they did matter. Arda Güler and Mastantuono came in and they brought speed, bravery, and intent. At the 56 minutes, Arda Güler finally breaks through the lines, which was something Madrid hadn't done all game, finds Kylian Mbappe, who earns a penalty. Mbappe goes ahead and scores, and then the celebration was loud, maybe a little too loud. All the players really showed a little passion in this celebration. In my opinion, based on the atmosphere at the stadium, this would have been a great moment for the team to have a subdued celebration as a way to apologize to the fans. Maybe putting your hand over the badge, raising your hand as an apology for the team. I know that they were not whistling Mbappe at all. He was probably one of the only players that did not get whistled because, let's face it, he's the one that has had a fantastic season for Madrid so far. But as a world-class player and somebody who's bound to be a leader in the dressing room, he should have taken that moment and apologized on behalf of the team. Like I said, simple hand to the badge, hand up, and sort of bringing the team together for all of them to sort of apologize at this point to the stands. Because let's face it, up until this point, Madrid hadn't really done a whole lot. The first 45 minutes were lackluster, and it was only after the subs came in that Arda Güler specifically was able to find that gap and really break through the lines to be able to find Mbappe, who was able to get a penalty. But anyways, I digress. I do believe that this was a moment for humility and to try to reconnect with the crowd. But football-wise, well, Madrid did improve. More pressure, more danger, and corners started to matter. At the 65th minute, Raúl Asensio scores a great header, very Ramos-esque, from a great cross by Arda Güler. And to me, that's important because it shows that Real Madrid has that power and ability to make all these set pieces matter more than they do. Madrid needs to tap into this a lot more consistently. And then after the second goal, from that point forward, Madrid pretty much controlled the game. Not brilliantly, but at least responsibly. No mistakes at the back, holding the ball, trying to generate some danger here and there with the remaining minutes, but overall, just a very controlled finish to the game. Now, let's talk a little bit about the players who got whistled today, specifically Vini, Valverde, Jude, and Dean Housen. The boost for Valverde, I'm a huge supporter of Federico Valverde. I agree he has not had the best games in the last couple of games, but also we need to remember that he's not playing in a position in which he enjoys to play. He does it to support the team, and I still do believe that he leaves it all out there. So in my personal opinion, the whistles to Valverde were a little bit uncalled for. Now, let's talk about Jude. Today, he struggled at times, but I feel like he gave everything. You could see the exhaustion, the effort was real. He wasn't very precise at first, but he continues to track back and support and defend, and he did try to make quite a few darting runs into attack to score himself, reminding us of his presence in the area of that first season with Real Madrid. So I was happy to see that. And Vini, well, he had a tough night. Booed early, He was seen almost emotional in the tunnel before coming out to play from hearing all the boos and all the chanting against him, and he was trying to make something happen today. Unfortunately, it didn't come out for him, but the truth is, today he did not hide. So much so that at the end, his efforts were rewarded with even some applause. Now let's briefly touch on Dean Housen and the whistles he was getting. He was getting whistles for his performance in the last couple of games, but also in today's game, he kept making a lot of mistakes, which only made those whistles worse. I think in this case, the whistles were almost counterproductive because he seemed flustered and unable to cope with the pressure, which I get it. Real Madrid players should be able to cope with anything thrown at them, but we need to remind ourselves that these are like 19, 20-year-old kids, okay? I think he's 20 years old. So as a human, I give him a pass for breaking down a little bit every time you touch the ball and 70,000 people came down on you. But I know, they put themselves in the situations. This is what they train their entire life. People in the comments are going to be like, well, they put themselves out there for this. They should be able to cope with this, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I agree with that. But also, they are humans. And again, these are just kids. And I'm not saying that to give them a pass because they need to excel, because there's 20-year-old kids excelling elsewhere. So they need to be able to do that. But it's just a little bit of that positively Madridista in me. Now, to wrap up this conversation about the stadium booing, let's get something clear. The Bernabéu is famous for expecting the best of all their players, as it should be. It's Real Madrid after all, the greatest club in sports history. But at the same time, I personally believe there should be a mix of encouragement thrown in with all the boos. This is just me, but I believe that positive reinforcement, it's a little bit more productive sometimes than just coming down on somebody. Yes, let's be critical, but also let's be constructive and supportive of our players. And if I wasn't saying things like this, then well, this channel would not be called Positively Madridista, am I right? Because for me, efforts matter even when execution is not perfect. So, was this a good win? Absolutely not. Was it necessary? Absolutely yes. But let's get something straight here. You can't fix everything in 1 week. You can't just restore confidence in 1 day or a couple training sessions. This team needs a little bit of time, which I understand in the time of the season that we're at right now, there's not much of it, but they do need it, like it or not. And they also need to continue to build on that accountability. What they don't need is panic. And as fans, and this is going to upset some people out there, Real Madrid fans, we need to be better at losing. Hear me out. Madrid is not used to losing. And that's probably one of the reasons why we suck at losing. Because we don't see our team lose too often. We never expect our team to lose. As fans, I do believe that we can look inside and how to be constructive without being destructive. Expecting excellence is fair. Expecting perfection is not. There's still lots to improve, of course, but progress doesn't always look pretty. Ultimately, tonight was a step and not a destination. And that's it for this one, guys. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of today's game performance? What do you think of Madridista reactions when the team loses? And what do you think is the positive from today's game? Leave the negative comments out. Go somewhere else for those. Also, for more positive content about Madridismo like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to share this with other Madridistas out there that have a positive outlook on Real Madrid, no matter if we're winning or losing. I want to continue to spread this positive message about Madridismo and what it means to be a positively Madridista worldwide. And as always, respect the badge and stay grateful, Positively Madridistas. Catch you in the next one. Bye.